Hey, what's up, lightboltjoe here. Today we're going to discuss the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. Came out August of 1986. It takes place roughly around October 20th, 1986. We only know that because character of Stretch, the DJ, the radio DJ, she holds up a newspaper at one point. It says October 20th, 86. So there's events leading up to that date, and then pretty much just that day. It's been 13 years since the events of Texas Chainsaw Massacre. We now have a Lieutenant Enright now in this small Texas community who's now trying to figure out why nobody can give answers in regards to the death and disappearance of his nephew Franklin, who is the brother of Sally, who had survived the events of the first film. And she then, went into a catatonic state. Nobody could find answers. Nobody could find this farmhouse from hell kind of a thing about this cannibalistic family. So they just pretty much closed the case because they couldn't find any answers. And yet there were still chainsaw dismemberments, chainsaw events happening over the next 13 years. So the same actor who plays the cook in the first film is back as the second. It's not truly explained if he's the dad or the older brother, because at one point he says my brothers, but then it's referenced that he's like their father because they keep referencing grandpa, who's 137, specifically referenced in this. Also, Leatherface is called Bubba a lot in this, and their last name is Sawyer. Chop Top is the twin brother then of the hitchhiker in the first film, whose corpse is used as the puppet throughout this. Very interesting. Chop Top as a character is very interesting, having a metal plate via him having severe injuries in Vietnam. So there's a lot of like other backstory to like certain characters of this particular family who now lives underground in an abandoned amusement park. So it's a neat little change of setting, first being a farmhouse, second being an amusement park, an abandoned amusement park. So the question then is, how does Lieutenant Enright come into play? How does this radio DJ of Stretch come into play? She is taking requests from callers, and it's two idiot high school, seniors who are playing chicken with a truck, and then eventually another truck turns out to have Leatherface and company a part of it. So they're attacked, and it's recorded, and then she contacts this lieutenant in town who's asking questions on this chainsaw massacre that happened 13 years ago, via then now this new attack has increments of chainsaw taking apart the victims of this car, but also causing this car crash. But it's like, oh no, it was an accident. Kids just being kids. Like, no, it's not. This has connections to my niece and nephew. So, Lefty, Lieutenant Enright, and Stretch come together. He convinces her to play the tape again to like lure them out, if you will, which works. Then there's a whole scene going on of stuff at the radio station. Then they eventually all travel to the amusement park where more stuff happens, and then the characters are all like split apart via chainsaw. So it's a matter of if Bubba Sawyer, Leatherface, has the chainsaw going through his stomach and out his back, how does he survive into the third film? I'm very curious how moving forward that continues on with that particular plotline. I enjoyed the same final girl moment. At the end of this, she wins. She takes the chainsaw. She does the Leatherface dance on the top of the fake, ride mountain that it is. The camera pans out. Best part of this entire film was the fact that the poster mimics the classic 1985 film Breakfast Club. That poster. Same exact poster. Same exact setup of the characters in their poses. That's the greatest part about this. This has a lot more gore to it. This has a lot more like darker comedy to it, which is fine, but when you have such an iconic ending in the first film, you expect more in the second film. So I did appreciate that we get a little bit more backstory. I also liked that it is technically a legacy piece 13 years later, that the same cook character is into play, different actors for the other characters. But I'm just curious and trying to think logistically how the story is then going to continue to progress if Leatherface is mortally wounded. We shall see. I'm very curious. It was fun. It was a good 80s film. It wasn't, extremely memorable. I'm not going to have any need to ever watch this again. We're only watching this for the marathon. But it was a neat change of pace in regards to the character of Leatherface, and then having some form of like an attachment to Stretch. So that was different. You don't normally see, you know, the villain trying to save the girl who he initially intended to dismember with the chainsaw. It's a little different. We'll see what happens next. Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, on to the next review. Mucho mahalo.